Hello travelers, I'm Chris, welcome to Lorespire. This video is a character build guide for the Death Knight of Urgathoa. This Death Knight is a Steel Blood BloodRager with the Lich Mythic Path. I played this character on core difficulty, but it starts to fall off a bit in Acts 5 and 6, so I'm going to suggest playing it on daring difficulty or below for the best results. We'll be starting with the backstory for this build, and then we'll move on to character creation, leveling, skills, feats, spells, mythic ranks, and so on. There are timestamps, so you can skip ahead if you like. Now let's open our Tome of Forgotten Heroes and learn the story of this Death Knight. Today's story is of a young orc named Ragesh. This unfortunate soul is the captive of a cult of necromancers. He is often the focal point of their dark rituals. Rituals that warp his body, flay his mind, and crush his soul. Let us join Ragesh on the most fateful day of his life. A day that would eventually turn this hopeless slave into a revered commander, and then later into a loathsome demigod. Ragesh tried to remember a time when he dreamed of escape, but it was vague, like a dream that occurred years in the past. Whether it had happened or not, he certainly no longer had such thoughts. After so much abuse and experimentation, he was resigned to his fate. He would be in this cave until he felt the sweet release of death. No dreams, no hope, nothing. That's odd, Ragesh thought, as he slowly realized he was not only having thoughts, but that he could actually understand them. And for a moment he almost felt excitement, or maybe relief. He couldn't quite remember what either was supposed to feel like. It must have been a long time since the last dark ritual if he was not only having thoughts, but almost feelings. They never let his mind come back to him completely. Another ritual would surely be coming soon. That should frighten him? Yes, fear. That's the right word. Ragesh couldn't imagine ever feeling fear again. He wasn't sure exactly what the cultists had done to him with their magics, but he barely felt alive any longer. Ragesh stood and stretched. He raked his knuckles across the ceiling. Had he always been this large, this muscular? Or was this too an effect of his captor's dark rituals? He couldn't remember. It seems your mind has returned to you at last, a voice he could not recognize whispered from the dark. A female voice that somehow reminded him of death. Female? Wait, the cultists were all men. Who could this be? Whoever it was spoke as if she had heard Ragesh's very thoughts. You know me, and you are mine, though you do not know it yet. These foolish cultists worked their magics on you over and over, each time unwittingly turning you more and more into a creature of my sphere. You are less alive than you are undead at this point, and all who are undead are mine. Foolish these cultists may have been, but they did achieve a rare feat. A living undead with a will and mind of its own. Yes, rare indeed. You shall be my champion, my Death Knight. Accept, and I will set you on your way, with your freedom, so long as you agree to completing but a single task for me. Ragesh's head spun. What trick was this? Was he dreaming? It couldn't be true. But he knew it was. This was Urgathoa, goddess of excess, disease, and the undead. And when she spoke, he felt the truth of it. Yes, he felt it! Ah, to feel again, And to have freedom? Yes, he would perform any task for this. Ragesh spoke. I am yours. Name your task, and it shall be done. Ragesh could feel the goddess smile with pleasure. You shall travel to the world wound. There you will destroy the demon armies that seek to overrun Golarion. Ingratiate yourself with the Crusaders. Use them to fight the demons. And I'll make sure you have the knowledge and tools necessary to succeed. Do what you must, but in the end, neither the demons nor the people of Mendev are to be spared. In doing this, you will show the demon lords, as well as all of Golarion, that death is the ultimate power in Golarion, and they shall all cower before it or be consumed by it. I trust the methods by which you achieve this will represent me appropriately. With that, Urgathoa was gone. Ragesh pushed the door to his cell open, never expecting it to be locked. He then exited the cave, never even considering that a cultist might try to stop him. Somehow, he just knew that they were all dead. And so it was that Ragesh, Death Knight of Urgathoa, began his journey to the World Wound to destroy the army of demons waging war on Golarion. He did not know how he would destroy them, but he was certain he would leave countless bodies in his wake. After all, Urgathoa would not want it any other way. This story leaves things fairly straightforward from a role-playing perspective. In-game, Ragesh will generally take every opportunity to kill unless he feels that not killing will somehow help further the goal Urgathoa has given him. Ragesh has no moral qualms or personal desires beyond completing his task. The years of torture and forced magic rituals have rendered Ragesh incapable of developing personal feelings towards others or feeling empathy for anyone at all. Considering this, in-game decisions should always be made with ruthless efficiency. Things like right or wrong, lawful or chaotic, and good or evil never factor into Ragesh's decisions. Is this the best way for me to defeat the demons and show the mortals that Urgathoa and Undeath are the ultimate power in this world? That is the only question that guides Ragesh's decisions. Now, this is how I play Ragesh, but you of course can play him as you see fit. It could be that when you play Ragesh, a certain companion helps him learn to feel for others again. Or maybe the dark magics that twisted him begin to wear off, and he develops a conscience. Then again, maybe not. That choice is up to you. Before we get started on character creation, I just want to say that you do not have to choose every single thing I do. My choices are what makes sense to me and what fits the backstory that I've made. Feel free to tweak whatever you want with the build, even the story, to make it fit what works best for you and the party that you are building. Choose Create Custom Class, and then choose a portrait that you find fitting. If you don't like the default options, there are hundreds of pictures to choose from if you download portrait packs from Nexus Mods. FYI, the Kingmaker portrait packs will work for the Wrath of the Righteous also, so feel free to look at those if you're interested. Next, we'll choose the Steel Blood archetype of the BloodRager class. This is the class that best fits what I think of as a Death Knight from both a mechanics and role-playing perspective. I feel the choices it gives also represent our backstory well. As a Steel Blood, we can wear heavy armor, cast our spells with no chance of failure, and use Blood Rage, which is basically like a barbarian's rage. Except instead of gaining barbarian rage abilities, we gain abilities from our bloodline while raging. Yes, we also get a bloodline. Actually, we get 2 bloodlines, but the second won't come until around level 6. Anyways, this choice gives us everything we need from both a role-playing and mechanics perspective to build a strong Death Knight. Now, if you really don't like the Still Blood archetype, you could choose something else here. Like, say, if you wanted a mount, you could choose Blood Rider. And I imagine that that would work out fine. They're similar enough, but I have only played the game through as a Still Blood, so I can only guarantee that the Still Blood archetype will work with the build that I'm showing you. Take that as you may. Ragesh is a male orc with the tribal racial heritage. We're going to roleplay that the tattoos were given as part of the magic rituals that Ragesh was subjected to, and not from a tribal upbringing. For our background, we're going to choose Farmhand. We're not going to use the lore nature skills, so that doesn't matter, but we will be using athletics, and there are a ton of fortitude saving throws in this game, so that part will come in handy. And the scythe, which is the favored weapon of Urgathoa, will actually be the weapon that we're using with this build. So we're going to roleplay that all of the bonuses from this are blessings Urgathoa gives us to succeed with the task she has given us. Our ability scores will be 19 strength, 13 dexterity, 16 constitution, 7 intelligence, 8 wisdom, and 14 charisma. Okay, this is a little bit of min-maxing, which I normally don't like doing, but having low wisdom and intelligence just fits our backstory really, really well, given all of the magic rituals and the abuse to Ragesh's mind. So I feel like that just fits, and then the super high strength also fits in with the backstory. So this is the stat allocation I've come up with, and it works well, I think, from a role-playing perspective and a mechanics perspective once you get into the game. For skill point allocation, put 1 point into athletics, mobility, and persuasion. Then take weapon focus scythe as your feat, and we're going to take undead as our bloodline. Obviously, Urgathoa will be our deity, and we're going with the neutral evil alignment. And for appearance, you can see what I've chosen here. If you want to pause it and pick the same thing, that's up to you. Really, I think you should just choose whatever looks best to you. The only thing that I suggest you should do is go with dark green and dark red for your color scheme in some combination, because those are the colors of Urgathoa. After that, choose your voice, which I like none, and then your name and birth date, and we're done here. Our character is created. Let us move on to leveling. Instead of breaking everything down by individual level, as I have done with past Wrath of the Righteous build guides, I'm going to explain how to build this character in sections to save time. Those sections will be ability points, skill points, feats, spells, and mythic ranks. As you are leveling your character, every level will go into Still Blood, BloodRager, and all additional ability points should go into Strength. At levels 2 and 3, you'll put your skill points into Athletics, Mobility, and Persuasion. Starting at level 4 and all the way to level 20, we'll put 1 skill point into Athletics, Perception, and Persuasion at each level. My reasoning for this skill point distribution is as follows. Athletics. The combination of high strength and having athletics as a class skill makes this a pretty obvious choice. Mobility. 3 points gets you an additional 1 AC when using defensive fighting. Perception. Everyone gets a perception check to notice hidden items, which makes perception a great choice for any character that isn't too limited in skill points. Persuasion. Persuasion checks are quite common, and I find that having high persuasion with your main character is almost always a good idea, since allies are commonly switched in and out of your party for quests. Also, persuasion is a class skill for Ragesh, and we do get a bonus to it from our charisma, which allows us to get it fairly high. These are all of the feats that you should have at max level. And the following are the feats that you should take as you level from level 2 through 20. They are in the order that they should be taken. Arcane Armor Training. Outflank, which I suggest you get with all of your melee party members. Arcane Armor Mastery, Improved Critical Scythe, Critical Focus, Blind Fight, Improved Iron Will, Great Fortitude, and Improved Blind Fight. Now the rest of these come as bonus feats that you'll get from your 2 bloodlines. This next group is from the Undead bloodline, and they are in the order that you should take them. Iron Will, Dodge, Combat Mobility, Toughness, and Endurance. And the last group is from the Arcane bloodline, and they are Power Attack, Disruptive, Arcane Strike, Combat Reflexes, and Improved Initiative. Okay, all of those are in the order that you should take them as you gain levels. Ragesh's spellcasting ability will be limited, so I suggest you stick mainly to buff and utility spells as much as possible. Spells that you see on screen but that I don't list are given as bonus spells from your bloodline. You will receive all of the Lich Spells, so I'm only showing the spells that I have chosen from the BloodRager spell list here. And these are all of the spells that you should have at max level. They are listed in the order they should be taken. Level 1 spells: Shield, Enlarge Person, True Strike, Protection from Alignment, Shocking Grasp, and Burning Hands. Level 2 spells: Mirror Image, Bull's Strength, Bear's Endurance, Eagle's Splendor, Resist Energy, and See Invisibility. Level 3 spells: Greater Magic Weapon, Heroism, Animal Aspect Greater, Haste, Protection from Energy, and Fireball. Level 4 spells: False Life Greater, Stone Skin, Controlled Fireball, Enlarge Person Mass, and Dragon's Breath. Some of these spells on this list are not very useful, and I would say it is often better to save your spells to use with Blood Deflection, so long as your core buffs are in place. Blood Deflection is a still blood ability that lets you consume a spell to increase your armor class by an amount equal to the level of that spell for 1 turn. For any fight that you expect to be difficult, you'll want to use all of your buffs before the fight begins, and then use your remaining spells to boost your AC with Blood Deflection whenever you need an armor boost. Next, we're going to go over each individual mythic rank to show what should be taken for this build. You can change these to fit your party build if you are trying to do something specific, but I find that these abilities work well for this build. I'm going to hover over each ability except for the summons for a short time and give a brief description for some of them. If you want to read the ability in its entirety, just pause the video and do so. At Mythic Rank 1, take Dance Macabre as your first ascension and BloodRager's second bloodline, Arcane, as your mythic ability. Depending on your level, when you choose this mythic ability, you may or may not have to choose bonus feats here. If you do have to choose bonus feats, refer back to the chapter on bonus feats from earlier in the video. Now, Dance Macabre allows you to channel negative energy to either heal the undead or to damage the living. Okay, the DC of this channel is equal to 10 plus your mythic rank plus the character's charisma, wisdom, or intelligence modifier. whichever is the highest. So for us, that'll be Charisma. And you can do this a number of times per day equal to 3 plus your Mythic rank. Bypass Epic Damage Reduction does just what it says. And gaining a second bloodline means that you will get all of the benefits shown here as if you had taken the Arcane bloodline, and you do still get all of the benefits that you get from the Undead bloodline. So you'll be taking double the bonus feats, and you'll be getting double the bonus spells, one for each bloodline. At Mythic Rank 2, you need to take the Weapon Focus Scythe for your Mythic feat. This is the only choice to make here, but you will also get Hard to Kill, which means that you don't die until your total number of negative hit points become equal to or greater than double your Constitution score. You'll get Negative Energy Insight, which basically makes you more effective against undead or any creature with negative energy affinity, and you'll get the ability to summon a specter. At Mythic Rank 3, choose the Lich Mythic Path and take Limitless Rage as your Mythic ability, Skeletal Assassin as your Skeletal Champion, and Weapon of Death as your Lich power. You'll gain a bunch of Lich spells here, but we're going to wait until the end of the build to go over spells. You can summon a Fallen. You will get the Weapon of Death power, which allows you to enchant a weapon to have the Bane Living and Nullifying special abilities. Now, Bane Living gives you an additional +2 bonus whenever you're attacking a living creature, and you will deal an extra 2d6 damage to it whenever you land a hit. If a creature is killed with this Weapon of Death, all creatures in a 15-foot radius suffer a penalty on caster level checks made to overcome spell resistance equal to twice the Lich's Mythic rank until end of combat. Okay, now this can affect your own spellcasters, so try to make sure that they're more than 15 feet away from you. Skeletal Assassin. This is basically like a 7th party member. It's not going to be as strong as a party member, but it is definitely useful. It can wear all of the equipment that any party member could wear, and it can use items, and depending on how you upgrade it later, it can even cast spells. And Limitless Rage just removes the limit on the number of times per day you can use your Rage ability. At Mythic Rank 4, take Power Attack Mythic for your Mythic feat, and for the Skeletal Champion upgrade, take Inquisitor with the Outflank Teamwork feat. You'll also get the ability to summon a Plague Beast Mastodon. You'll get the Lord Beyond the Grave ability, which basically makes all of your undead stronger and allows them to ignore damage reduction. At Mythic Rank 5, choose Unrelenting Assault for your Mythic ability. And I want to point out here that we get the Lord of Death ability, which is just the most amazing ability in the game from a role-playing perspective. Take a moment to pause the video and read what it does. It basically makes us a demigod. The undead that we create get any divine spells they have from us and not from the traditional gods, because that's how awesomely powerful we are. The Lord or Lady of Death grants followers spells from the Death, Evil, Strength, or War domains. And you also get the ability to summon Plague Beast Mastodons with an S, so multiple. And you'll get the Dark Rites ability here, which gives the Lich and all of his companions within a 30-foot radius a 2-level caster level boost, which makes it so that the Lich and all of his companions within 30 feet cast spells as if their caster level was 2 levels higher. At Mythic Rank 6, take Iron Will Mythic as your Mythic feat and Indestructible Bones as your Lich power. You will also get the ability to summon an Ecorche, I guess. Iron Will Mythic allows you to re-roll your will saving throw, or rather to roll it twice and take the higher result. Indestructible Bones gives you DR 10 against all damage, and whenever an enemy attacks you, or rather whenever they hit you, they suffer a -2 penalty to attack rolls until the end of combat, but it does not stack. At Mythic Rank 7, take Thundering Blows as your mythic ability. Once per round, whenever your melee attack misses the target, you deal 2d6 plus 1d6 per 2 mythic ranks sonic damage to all enemies within 10 feet, and you can summon a Nightshade Crawler. At Mythic Rank 8, take Flawless Attacks as your mythic feat and take the Skeletal Cleric upgrade for your Skeletal Assassin. Now, Flawless Attacks will make it so that you only suffer a -4 penalty for each additional attack beyond the first whenever you make a full round attack instead of a -5 penalty. You'll also get the ability to summon Nightshade Crawler and an Acorch together, and the Skeletal Cleric ability will allow your skeleton to cast spells from the domains of death and destruction and all spells from the cleric spell list using its HD, that's hit die, instead of cleric class for calculations for the spells, and it can also channel negative energy. At Mythic Rank 9, choose Leading Strike as your mythic ability, and for your Lich power, take Deadly Magic. Now, I know that Ragesh's magic ability is low, but this power will allow you to force through spells with guaranteed effects, such as Bone Shaker. There are a lot of powerful casters at the end of the game, and shutting them down for a few turns is much more helpful than any other Lich power that's available to us at this point. Okay, what Deadly Magic actually does is up to 3 rounds per day, the Lich can make all spells that it casts ignore spell resistance and spell immunity. Any creature affected by such a spell cannot cast spells for 1d3 plus 1 rounds. So as long as you have a spell with a guaranteed effect, then you will definitely hit them with it, and they will be unable to cast spells for at least 2 rounds. Very helpful. Take the Leading Strike ability. Every time you hit a target in melee combat, you leave a mark on it. Any ally attacking the target deals additional divine damage equal to 1d6 per mythic rank. And it consumes the mark. And you get the ability to summon a Ravener Dragon. Okay, and obviously, since this is the last summon we get, it is the strongest, and it's actually quite powerful and looks pretty cool. So you'll get some use out of this. At Mythic Rank 10, take Mythic Resolve as your mythic feat, which gives you a +1 bonus to all saving throws, and you get additional hit points equal to your mythic rank. So 10 hit points. Now that is done, let's get over to the Lich Spells. You will be seeing all of the spells from the Lich's spellbook on screen, but only the ones that I list are worth using regularly with this build. All of the Inflict spells are only suggested to be used for healing. Level 1 spells, Shield and Inflict Light Wounds. Level 2 spells, False Life, Inflict Moderate Wounds, and Mirror Image. Level 3 spells, Displacement, Haste, Inflict Serious Wounds, Mastery of Flesh, and Power from Death. Level 4 spells, Animate Dead, Consume Dead, Eyes of the Bodak, False Life Greater, Inflict Critical Wounds, and Vampiric Blade. Level 5 spells, Deny Death, Inflict Wounds Mass, Profane Nimbus, Repurpose, and Vampiric Shadow Shield. Level 6 spells, Bone Shield, Create Undead, Harm, and Undeath to Death. Level 7 spells, Blessing of Life. Level 7 spells, Blessing of Unlife, Inflict serious wounds mass, and restore undead. Level 8 spells, Frightful Aspect, inflict critical wounds mass, and Unholy Aura. Level 9 spells, Negative Eruption. Most of the spells I've listed here are buff spells or healing spells, which are easy to understand and use. Some of them, like Undeath to Death, are extremely situational, but can be helpful at times. Animate Dead and Create Dead are useful when you first get them, but they fall off kind of fast, especially Animate Dead. The spells that really make this build fun and or effective are Displacement, Mirror Image, Power from Death, Vampiric Blade, Bone Shield, Repurpose, and Frightful Aspect. All of these are helpful and should be used as often as is practical, but the last two, Repurpose and Frightful Aspect, are absolutely amazing. Repurpose is, of course, the MVP. It's just awesome to be walking around with a group of Minotaurs and Varroks as bodyguards early in the game, or, Vavakia and Balors later in the game. It's not only fun, but really effective. If you can get them up front to tank battles for you, then battles can go from very hard to very easy without much problem. Frightful Aspect kinda saves the damage output for the build later in the game when it starts to drop off a bit, and the huge size bonus that Frightful Aspect gives almost made me turn this into a reach weapon build. The last thing that I want to say here is that there are a lot of guaranteed damage spells in the Lich's spellbook, meaning that they still deal damage even if the enemy makes their saving throw. I didn't include those as being useful because they probably won't make it through the enemy's spell resistance. However, once you take the Deadly Magic Lich power, you can get 3 of these guaranteed damage spells to hit each and every day. So make sure that you keep 3 of them on hand to shut down enemy casters once you have Deadly Magic. That's the build, but before we end the video, I want to give my opinion of it. I like it. The role-playing aspect of this build, and really the Lich in general, is just awesome. The backstory provided here actually fits pretty well into the game's story, and being an unstoppable death machine whose ultimate goal is the destruction of both sides in this war is not only fun, but can be played out in-game with the right choices. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video and the backstory for the build. If you decide to try it out, be sure to come back and let us know down in the comments how it goes. The next build should be more viable for even higher difficulties, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. This has been Chris with Lorespire. Be well, my friends.